This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to a rather late edition of Achtung Millwall. It's the voicemail show edition in the wake of Tuesday night's debacle on the most flaccid, lily-livered performances I think we've all seen from a Millwall side since last season, since the Reading game last season, and also in the League Cup, of course. But anyway, it was a very, very poor showing, as is well known. That 1-0 loss at home to Orient on Tuesday night. Apologies for the lateness of this show, dear listeners. I was actually planning to put it out last night, but I got caught up in the general South East London gridlock. I was actually sat in Woolwich for 4 hours, if you can believe this, in Regency Place, is it called? St Mary's Street. Not terribly far from home, if only the River Thames wasn't in the way. Anyway, so that took out my whole evening last night, hence this late show. I'm going to do this voicemail show slightly differently. Normally I do comments after each message. Time's against me a little bit, so I'm just going to run the many voicemails that have been received in the wake of that very poor home showing Tuesday night. I'm just going to run them back to back pretty much. Big thank you to everyone for contributing. I want to get everyone's comments in. But before we go to the voice notes, I just wanted to just put down a few markers about what we saw on Tuesday night. We did, of course, see shall we call it a second string 11? It wasn't that far off the pace in terms of players that would expect and indeed have campaigned to be starters. Liam Roberts in goal did okay, I thought. I mean, obviously, apart from picking a ball out of the net for the 14th minute goal from Orient. Backline, Danny Mack, a very poor defensive show, and then the strange choice perhaps of Sean Hutchinson, Murray Wallace as central defenders with Joe Bryan on the left. Apart from Danny Mack, I think the defence was woeful Tuesday night. What lies behind that, apart from perhaps age, old father time, and lack of Millwallness, as others have pointed out about one or two players, I don't know. In front of that back line, George Saville and new boy Danny Kelly. Really difficult showing for Danny. He came out at half time, didn't really see much of him, and Saville was George Saville. You normally get a pretty good display from George, and I can't really criticise him on Tuesday night. In front of the defensive two, so to speak, we have George Honeyman, who did George Honeyman stuff. Idemo Marku, a player who apparently has one of the more vociferous agents in football leaking stories to the Irish Daily Mirror about how Atletico Madrid, no less, are interested in Idemo, and also that other clubs are clamouring to take him on loan. He played certainly the bulk of the game and showed very little. Idemo, if you're listening, mate, you've got to deliver when you get the chance. Otherwise, Atletico Madrid ain't going to come calling for you, are they? If they saw you play against Orient, they would wonder what the agent's fuss was all about, other than trying to boost your profile, of course. Femi Aziz tried one or two tricks on Tuesday night, didn't really come off. First start for Femi. I think he's probably going to be one of those flair players that can come into a game and influence it late with his pace and his trickery, but he didn't really show much against Orient. And then up front, Macaulay Langstaff, who was given scraps to feed upon. As we've said a few times on this show, Langstaff looks like the classic kind of other striker with a big target man alongside him, more of which later on, of course. What can we say about that Mill performance? There was no incident in a Mill shirt worth the name in the first 45 minutes. It was scandalous. dear listeners. A decent goal for Orient, but their 7, who looked like a dangerous player, was quite literally given the freedom of the borough of Lewisham to, pick the ball up in midfield, make a run on the 2 central defenders who were poor, and to slot it into the goal for 1-0 on 14 minutes. Utterly bereft of any spirit, any drive, any kind of Millwall-ness. I'm going to come back to the cliche corner again, aren't I? It was an awful display. We created nothing. Orient had a couple of moments, but shot from the 7 again on 37 minutes. Boos ringing out from the one Millwall stand at the half. I think Orient brought quite a few away fans. I didn't go. I was going to watch it. I was going to go, and I couldn't be bothered. I watched it on the telly. I'm kind of glad I chose that option. A few subs at half time. Denor coming in for Kelly, SA coming on for Honeyman. There was a strange pitch invasion incident on 47, and for me, this rather sums up the club at the moment, dear listeners. And I'm a great one for relating, disparate incidents and drawing some bigger picture out of it, because there was a guy who must have been pissed, because there certainly weren't the football that was firing up, got on the pitch on 47 minutes. Initially the camera zoomed away from him whilst he was grappled to the floor by one that lone steward. Lurch and his gang took forever. It took longer than the Woolwich ferry took for me last night, dear listeners, and that was slow, believe you me, to get to the incident. And Andy Marshall, the goalkeeping coach, went out to assist. I think Danny Mack got involved trying to hold this guy down whilst he was removed from the pitch. And I thought to myself, sitting in my front room, that's a metaphor for our club at the moment. There are those that care, and Neil Harris is, whatever else you might say about him tactically or, from a football point of view, Neil Harris cares. And there are others that are just kind of running along for the ride. And that struck me as a metaphor for the leadership of the club at the moment. That incident on 47 minutes where a fan got on the pitch, pished, as they say, I hope anyway. Well, I don't know why you do it logically. And then it took forever for the staff of the club to deal with that incident. And that, in my opinion, stems from the basic lack of leadership at the club from the very top, dear listeners. This season, last season, was a slow motion car crash. We dodged a big bullet with, obviously the transition from Rowett to Joe Edwards, who did arrive with high hopes. Everyone was hoping for the best there. But that decision proved to be a disaster. Then in came Neil Harris to save the day, and that was we dodged a bullet there. It was like a near miss when you're flying aircraft. If you're going within 50 metres of somebody else, that's classed as a near miss, and that was a near miss from relegation last season. So we dodged a bullet, but this season we've taken one or two decisions that, in my opinion, appear totally illogical. I really do not understand Jimmy Barrelson's decision to get rid of Steve Kavanagh, Billy Taylor and Alex Aldrich in one fell sweep, a decapitation, a night at the Long Knives in Bermondsey, and replace whatever, again, you think of those three characters. And God knows I've had my conversations with Steve Kavanagh over the time regarding fundamental issues like bird shit on my seat. But whatever else you think of them, they were Millwall knowledge, and we've thrown away a lot of... not just one baby, we've thrown out 3 babies with the bathwater there for no great gain. I don't see any leadership at the club. I don't know much beyond Mark Fairbrother other than he's a very nice bloke. But is he Millwall? No, he's not Millwall. He doesn't bleed the club. And at the moment, I'm not seeing any evidence that there's some kind of higher leadership element coming from him. The tone must be set from the very top. I don't really know enough about Jimmy Barrelson, apart from the fact that he's from the Barrelson family and they underpin the club. So, I'm loath to say too much on that front, obviously, but the leadership starts at the very top, from the boardroom, from there downwards. You've got Mark Fairbrother, who really has no profile at the club, and then working with him as recruitment, so-called, is this Kevin Gallen. I don't know, Do you know him? I don't know. I only read what I read on Wikipedia about the man. Certainly, recruitment has been a disaster. We've signed players. We've got Tanganga in, of course, but there's not enough bodies of quality coming in. And so you get these kind of post-match comments from Neil Harris, who, again, the wisdom of him speaking out to the press, not sure about it, but I suppose someone's got to say what's got to be said. Speaking after the Orient game, he took responsibility for the team choice, but he also then went on to criticise some of the players. He's criticised the lack of strength from the bench in the wake of the Bristol defeat. We have made a signing today, a player I don't really know about, which is Ryan Windle. I can't comment, and also apparently we're interested in the Serbian kid, striker, which is what we're screaming out for, that big target man. But overall, I mean, the question I've posed to myself, just as a spark note, is what's going on at the club, because it seems like there's a big lack of direction from the administration of the club. I'm not sure what direction our club is going in. It seems to me to be that the manager, or head coach, stupid term, let's call him the manager because that's what he is for me. The head coach is almost seemingly at odds with the recruitment team. The recruitment team seem to have left it till 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve to start doing their Christmas shopping. And you just don't get a sense of any great direction. My reading of Neil Harris's notes is just going by Richard Corley's interview notes I'm talking about, where he says he takes responsibility for the team's selection. He made 8 changes, bringing in players that have been clamouring on his door, knocking on his door, which he says they won't be knocking on my door much, very loudly after that. And he mentions the rewind back to that Reading defeat, where there was a lack of spirit and a lack of direction at the club at that point too. So clearly something is badly amiss at our football club, dear listeners. I'm not clear what our club direction is. I'm not clear that the leadership is there. I don't know any of these personalities. I'm maybe unfair in the wake of 3 fairly well-known names, love them or hate them, as I've said already. But there just seems to be a bit of a void at the heart of the club. My concern, if I'm going to be honest, and again, whatever people think of Neil Harris as a tactician, is that he's the only Millwall voice that we've got at the club. And if he walks, and I get every sense that he has been close to the edge a couple of times this season, certainly in the wake of that lily-livered showing on Tuesday night, then I don't know who we've got to come in. This season seems to me to be very close to unfolding as a slow-motion car crash. That might be over dramatic for some people's tastes, because we're still quite early in the season. But we have a huge match at home to Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday. And so far, we've played well in moments, but we've let slip a lot of points. We've been unlucky. But the backroom disputes are not helping our club. It needs to be sorted. There needs to be some clear direction, some clear leadership, the kind of leadership that we used to have when the dearly beloved John Barrelson was with us. He's now gone. But at the moment, that direction, that leadership has to come from the top. The manager has to be given direction. And as you know, I'm recording this Thursday morning. We've got rumours of further signings. But we need to pull this club together, because at the moment it feels like it's too many parts of it are going off in different directions. And as I've said a few times, leadership comes from the top. Anyway, dear listeners, that's my take after the stressful evening watching Millwall flap around, losing 1-0 to Orient. We livened up towards the end of the second half. You've seen the footage. It was an appalling display overall. Anyway, due to time constraints and my evening spent in Woolwich last night, we've got quite a few voicemails to get through. A huge thanks to everybody for contributing. So I'm not going to do the usual format of reacting after the voice notes. I'm just going to play them back to back. I'm going to let the voices do the talking on this show, dear listeners. Big thank you to you for listening. I'll be back at the weekend after the whatever drama, whatever the episode of Dallas brings, Bermondsey Dallas, whatever that brings at the weekend, we'll see. I'll be back probably Sunday with the next edition of Achtung Millwall. Until then, from me, Nick Hart, it's bye for now. So let's let the voice notes roll, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hi Nick, David here, long player, aka long player. Half time, quick message. I'll do it now because I might have slashed my wrists by the end of the game. What can you say? Just shows you what lack of depth we've got in defence. When Tanganga inevitably gets a ban or an injury, we're reliant on Wallace. Absolute crazy. Never going to work for us. We need another central defender. Aziz keeps getting caught in possession, tries to be clever, flicking it with the sole of his boot. Never going to work. Needs to start playing sensibly and move the ball around. They've sussed him out already and they're League One. And Joe Bryan, well, I don't think he was that good at the weekend, and tonight I'm not convinced. Put Danny Mack on the left. That's got to be better than Bryan. It's just crazy. Oh well. If I don't commit suicide by the end of the game, I might give you a call back. Cheers. Bye for now. Well, Nick, there you go. I did say at half time I might have slashed my wrists, but the good news is I changed my mind about that. I tried to shoot myself, but I bought a gun in the Millwall shop and it was firing blanks. Hey, you can have that one for free. That's the highlight for tonight. What more can I say? I'm sure others will come in with lots of comments, but alive and kicking. Bye for now.
Just home from the 0-1 loss to Leyton Orient at the Den in the Carabao Cup. John Rankin here. Just thought I'd send a voicemail in. Well, there's an old saying, half measures a value nothing. And the problem I think we faced tonight was the team we fielded, basically. I mean, if you think about it, right? So it's look, I'm not here to start coating anyone off, but I would have been a bit annoyed if I was the Leyton Orient manager and the Leyton Orient team to go to the Den. It's a classic fixture, Millwall, Leyton Orient, and see that side emerge. You know, an hour before the game, the team sheets are revealed, and if I was manager of Leyton Orient, I'd have said to them, well, they obviously think you lot are a bunch of mugs because, you know, it was the reserves, it was the trialists, the new players that Neil Harris sent out there. And I think we got the reaction that we deserved. I mean, Aziz gave the ball away. Murray Wallace and Sean Hutchinson were rooted to the spot. And the Leyton Orient attacker, you know, tucked it into the corner of the goal, the Coldblow Lane end. 1-0, and that was the end of the match there and then. Second half, we brought various first teamers on and we had most of the possession. I think we had sort of nearly 60% possession. We threatened their box, but it was all huff and puff. Not one shot or header on target. And a tough watch as a Millwall fan. I mean, the thing is, you know, we have to make our mind up about these things. Either we're there to play football, in which case you put out your strongest team and play to win, or we're there just to, I don't know, just to go through the motions. If the latter is the case, which seems to be what we've done for the last few years, then make it behind closed doors, because it's a bit of a piss take, if you ask me, to serve that up to the 6,000 or 7,000 supporters that paid good money and travelled a long way. You know, a lot of our fan base doesn't live in the Old Kent Road and Peckham and Bermondsey anymore, lives out to see that. So, strange way to perform at home against Leyton Orient. I mean, Leyton Orient is a classic fixture. I went to Brisbane Road lots of times when I was a youngster. My first encounter with the Special Patrol Group was in Brisbane Road back in the day, back in the 70s. And, you know, it's special. And I took my son there tonight and said, come on, we've got to go see Millwall, Leyton Orient. And fair play to Leyton Orient, you know. They were in the away end. They made loads of noise, took the piss out of us all game. And, you know, they played well. And we got what we deserved. Not impressed, really, to be honest with you. As I say, you make your mind up, right? You pays your money and takes your chance, right? So next time, if you fill the Millwall team, you fill the team to win, not to fuck about. You know, it's bollocks, total bollocks. And, you know, it's just wrong to do that. I don't quite understand how you put on a lot of the new players who, you know, who need a bit of game time at the Den. I mean, that kid Kelly, right? He was a disaster, I've got to say, and I don't think it was his fault. I mean, you know, talk about throw him in at the deep end. He's in the midfield with George Saville, and, you know, and it showed. He was just nowhere, basically giving the ball away. I mean, a lot of our new kids gave the ball away. Langstaff was absent, you know. Aziz gave the ball away that led to the first goal and gave it away lots of times as well. And, you know, as I say, that kid Kelly, I mean, you know, I'm sure he's a good player, but blimey, you know, he looked like a Sunday league player, really, having a go. And, you know, I felt really sorry for him. To my mind, what you do is, it's Leyton Orient, you got to respect them, right? You got to respect Leyton Orient coming to the Den. You don't fuck about like that, right? You put out your strong team, you put 2 or 3 goals on them, and then you bring your Kellys on and your Langstaffs and people like that. You know, you don't do that with Leyton Orient. And I've got to say, as much as it pains me, you know, good luck to them. Come to the Den and beat us 0-1 and go home with the next round of the cup. Can't argue with it. So, you know, fucking rubbish. See you later.
Hello, Nick. Bill Slack with a few half-time comments. Wallace and Hutchinson are numbers. What are they? Numbers 3 and 4 at centre half. Alex Mitchell not at the club. I'm just repeating what I said to you the other week. But don't tell me Alex Mitchell. I mean, you hear all this. 16 Millwall managers looked at Mitchell and didn't fancy him. Well, they don't know what they're fucking doing then. He's pulling up trees at Charlton. I was actually in the company of a Charlton fan on Saturday night, but they can't believe we've let him go. And we've been left in the position of having Wallace, Harding and Hutchinson, combined age of probably 100, getting close on. Joe Bryan, I'll withdraw my offer of a bag of fruit pastels. He's I mean, I can't think of a lower value confectionery at the moment that would make everybody laugh, but it's a fucking disgrace. Speak to you soon. The young Scottish lad has already booked a ticket back to Glasgow, and I don't blame him. I'll speak to you at full time, mate. Hello, Nick. Bill Slack with some incisive analysis at full time. We haven't got enough good footballers at the club. What I saw tonight was absolutely shocking. I'm not calling time on the season. I'm not calling time on Harris. I'm not falling into that trap. But there is something dreadfully wrong with the recruitment. That what you saw there is a result of 2 or 3 really, really shit windows to the point where they're a dereliction of duty. I think it dates back to appointing Joe Edwards and not appointing a proper football manager in Nathan Jones. I think that we've somehow found ourselves with an ageing squad, which is surely the number one rule in football. That you don't have players in their 30s with 1 year left on their contract. You move them on. We seem to bring them back into the club once we've released them. You know, many times last year, you said that we weren't brutal enough, that we were too nice. We've got Murray Wallace at the club. We've got Sean Hutchinson back at the club. Again, I won't hear a word said against the fella, and it ain't personal. But I said it last time. You've got Alex Mitchell playing for Charlton, and we're watching Sean Hutchinson, who is undoubtedly coming to the end of his career, playing at our club and come back as captain. You talk about the ages. Murray Wallace 31, Hutchinson's 33. Joe Bryan, fuck me, he's only 30. He plays like he's fucking my age, which is a lot older than that. Ryan Leonard's 32, Sab's 31, Bradshaw's 32. We are 2 or 3 injuries off being bang in trouble, and it is entirely down to the tools that we're giving the manager. something is dreadfully wrong. We can't afford to spend 5, 6, 7, 10 million pound on a striker. And the point I made last time is that your recruitment team have to be the best in the division, if not the entire football league, to find these players that we're going to be able to sell on. And we just don't do it. We've appointed a bloke who was at Charlton 6 or 7 years, and Charlton have been in League Two for 6 or 7 years. So I'd say, given his track record, he's not that adept at finding those diamonds in the rough. And they are out there. Make no mistake, they're out there. I ain't saying it's easy. I'm not saying that I could turn up and run that recruitment department better. But we have to have an A1 top-class recruitment director and a recruitment team who can find these players that fit our style and fit our system and fit our budget. And it hasn't happened for years and years and years now. And this is what you're going to get if we keep signing mediocrity. At some point or another, it will bite us in the arse. We not only won't progress, we'll go backwards. Surely the whole point in signing players is that you add a little bit of quality every time a window comes round, and we just don't seem to be able to do it. That was as appalling as I've seen in a long time. Let's hope with Jaffa back and all the rest of it, it'll get better. Anyway, well done to everybody who went. See you soon.
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett here after last night's debacle at the Den. Very difficult, I think, watching that last night. I don't think I'll be the only person to say what an absolute dire shambles it was, not just to watch, but just to watch just a normal, disciplined team just took us to the cleaners, and we didn't even get a shot off in anger. So really disappointing, and stewing all night, and then obviously all this morning about, you know, what's wrong with the club, what's wrong with the team, what's wrong with the players, what's wrong with the manager. And there's something obviously not quite right somewhere. The players he put in, I think he set up to lose that game last night, because he was gambling on players being able to perform, having not played too many games or not playing the system that he wants to play. And I think ultimately he paid the price for it, Neil, and there's no excuse for that. We had the same problem last year. I've mentioned already in a couple of things this morning where when Rowett did it, we beat Middlesbrough first game of the season, everyone was on a high, and then he put a team out against Reading that was absolutely woeful and got smashed. And this smells of the same problem. And I think Neil Harris might just undone a lot of its popularity last night with how the game went. I think that there was no shape to us. There was absolutely no quality at all. And you've got to look around that team and think, what the bloody hell was going on? All the people that have been clamouring for some people or some of the players to play must have been hanging their heads last night, because there was nothing given by most of the team until the substitutes started coming on, and then you could see a little bit of passion, a little bit of fight. But by then the damage was already done. I think if I just went through the team, goalkeeper, you can't fault him. I think he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't have a lot to do. But, you know, at the end of the day, they scored their goal, so it wasn't the keeper's fault. That all started with the Aziz gave the ball away by trying to do something on his own in an area of the pitch where he was never going to get away with it. They won the ball back, played it in, and then our Keystone Cops at centre-back, but he went all over the shop, but he couldn't tackle the lad, couldn't get a block in, and just sort of got in the way of everything. So for me, it was just an absolute travesty of a goal, but you could see that was the sort of night it was going to be. If you go through the team, I think Danny Mack, the only player who could walk off there in the first half, having done his job and done it to the best of his ability. You don't expect a lot of passing ability from Danny, but ultimately he will always give 100%. And last night, defensively, he was the only one I could say that looked like he was on his game. I think the two centre-backs showed exactly why they shouldn't be in the team anymore, and how that we've kept them two. And I do like Hutch and I like Murray Wallace for what they've done for us over the years, but how we've kept them two and let Alex Mitchell go out. And somebody is going to benefit from that, and it's not us. So I don't know who made that decision, but it was an absolute shocker. And then you've got Joe Bryan, who looked to me like he's playing in a testimonial last night. It's like he didn't give a toss. He was doing things that after Saturday we played so well. Whether he thinks he had a free pass last night to play like that, I don't know. But he was shocking. And then you go in the middle of the pitch. I think Kelly was put in there and he was blatantly not up to the standard required yesterday. But, at the same time, he had Savile alongside him and he was never in the game. So for me, that was a bad pairing. They got overrun constantly throughout the game until the changes came in. And then you go forward, and I think that's where it starts looking even worse. Aziz and Emarku, there you've got two wide players who are supposed to be half decent. I know Emarku gets a lot of praise, if you like, for his pace and his ability, but at the end of the day, he can't start a game. He's an impact sub at best, and even then, if he goes out on loan, as long as we've got somebody else in the building, I don't think it's going to be that big a problem. Aziz, that was unfortunate to see that if that was our first sight of him, it wasn't a good look, and I'll see where that goes. And then you've got Langstaff up front, and I think for me, he was probably the biggest disappointment because the ball couldn't stick to him. If it got to him, he gave it away. When he did have the opportunity to sort of get in to areas, he didn't get in there, and he was doing too much other stuff that meant that he couldn't control the ball. He was either running too fast or it was just hitting him and bouncing off. So he was a massive disappointment. But then you've got to wonder, has he ever played as a lone striker in that sort of system? Whereas I always think he's been part of a two in lower leagues. You'll get that. So for me, it was just unfortunate that Langstaff sort of was in there in a position that he's not equipped to be in. But overall, I thought that was an absolutely shocking performance. I don't think I'll be the only one saying this overnight. And I think somewhere along the line, Harris has actually got to put his hand up and accept it was him, not just the players, because it was his decision who to play, how to play. And then you've got other players in there who really should have been playing. And I think he took for granted that he gets a lot of leeway from the supporters. But I think that leeway sort of went out the window last night. And I think Saturday is a massive game. And if we don't get something against Sheffield Wednesday, then I think the old knives will be out very quickly. And unfortunately, in this case, I think they'll be well deserved, because I think Neil Harris, when he came in, gave us all that steel, gave us all the chat about the fight and everything from his dressing room, and he got that somehow over the summer with his sort of new season managerial head on. He's lost whatever it is, and I think if I look around that bench, I think he's on his own. I don't think there's a lot of contribution from the others in there. I think it's Harris putting his own mark in it, because you can't see Livermore, the other lad, Adam, whatever his name is, giving out too much speech. And for me, he's on his own. He's made his own bed here, so he gets out of it on Saturday or he doesn't. But I think the niceness will very quickly disappear. All right. Apart from that, I thought it was a good game. Cheers, Nick. Bye-bye.
Hello, Nick. Ben Anthony here. You'll remember about a year ago, you and I sat in Birdshit Corner and sat through one of the worst performances at the Den in quite some time, and that was the loss to Reading in the Carabao Cup. Well, tonight sort of reminded me of that a little bit. At points, I thought we were very, very poor and, very lacking in any quality. And against remotely better opposition, I think we could have seen a similar sort of scoreline. There are a number of players that played tonight that just I don't think are quite at the level. It's very harsh and very hard to judge on one match and one performance. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but players like Murray Wallace just look completely shot. They look out of it, not at the level at all. You can even argue Hutchinson isn't at the level that we expect and that we came to be so used to seeing from him. An unproven at this level striker in Langstaff, who is ultimately now going to be heavily relied on, because our one proven striker, Tom Bradshaw, who we all know is quite injury prone and probably overdue an injury, is now injured. So a very worrying night, to be honest. Imaku, a lot of people have been clambering for Imaku to start the game. I thought he was fairly poor. I'm not going to sort of have a massive go at him because he is so young. And he has had an impact off the bench, and I think that's the level he's at the moment. I think SA is a step above him, further down the road of progression. But even he's going to hit a bumpy patch at some point, and we're going to need to be patient with these players. But it's sort of all the more important that we've got some experience ready to come in and help them through that. So, yeah, this next few days in this transfer window is so vital. We probably need, before tonight, I'd have said 2 or 3. Now I think it's 3 or 4 because we're going to need someone to replace Bradshaw. Yeah, I think we're in a bit of trouble. So, yeah, let's hope we get some players in. I think we've got a half decent first 11, but beyond that, I think we're sort of struggling a little bit. Yeah, we need to see better than that. That's not good enough tonight. All right, see you Saturday.
Morning, Nick. I'm not sure if you're taking audio clips for your show following the Leighton Orient debacle, but in case you are, here's one from me, David Liederkramer. What a lot of nonsense that was. I mean, I had thought after the game against Portsmouth that Harris would be taking these kind of matches more seriously, but 8 changes and bringing in, the centre-backs who were so slow and looked completely overrun. Wallace and Hutchinson, bless them, they're just not up to it anymore. Somebody said that Wallace looked as if he was sort of running through cement half the time. And it really was an absolute shocking performance not to have a single shot on target for 90 minutes against a goalkeeper who's absolutely rubbish, apparently, according to Leighton Orient fans. It was just a thoroughly depressing performance and on par with some of the depressing performances we'd seen under Rowett, which we all hated so much. It's hard to keep a sense of perspective after a game like that. Very, very difficult in many ways to be positive about anything. Particularly unfortunate that Harris threw Imaku and Langstaff under the bus after the game. I thought that was disgraceful. It's really not their fault. And Langstaff must be wondering why on earth he ever signed for the club. The way it's going, I can see nothing but a relegation struggle and possibly relegation. It's this kind of atmosphere that breeds that kind of outcome. So, like I think all of us, I'm really depressed about the situation. Let's see if we get a couple of strikers in, although frankly, given our position, everyone knows we're desperate, so I think we're going to get ripped off for those. I see that we've got that Ryan Wintle coming in from Cardiff. Not sure he brings an awful lot. Defensive midfielder, I suppose he's another body in the building, to use Harris's expression. But there you are. So on to Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday. I doubt that that's going to be give us much joy either, but hey-ho, let's see what we can do then. Over and out.
Hello, Nick. Jim Littler. What a shit show that was tonight, mate. Fucking hell, I'm so pleased I didn't travel south to see that one. I don't want to say, really. Last season, I was very vocal when Harris came back, and I said that it's the wrong move. And I remember saying to you, I've ate my words, I'll eat humble pie, but it's a little bit like going back with an ex, I guess. You get back with her and it's all right for a short time, but then those old things come back to haunt you, the reasons why you fell out with each other in the first place, and you end up splitting up again, and usually that's that. So at the minute, I'm starting to wonder if that's the way it's going to go, and I'm not sure Harris is going to see out. Well, I don't think he'll see out till Christmas, never mind the rest of the season. The players have got to take a lot of responsibility, though. Let's be honest, some of the performances tonight from professional football players was just an absolute disgrace, really. Joe Bryan, I don't know how much that fella's on. I've heard rumours he's on a lot of money a week, and he fucking ain't worth what I've heard. Hutchinson, well, great servant, but why have we brought him back? And other players, Saville, been one of my favourite players over the years, but the fella just don't look up, can't play a pass. Denore, when he came in, he looked like that player who could play forward passes. And even now, see, one of the things about watching football when you don't go and you catch it on a stream is you notice things and you start screaming at the telly and you're going, fucking play at the ball there and he's free, and you see it. Yet these players who earn a lot more than we do, when they're on the pitch, they don't seem to see it. And the times tonight where there was one time when Watmore was so free, he had no one around him within about 20 yards, and not one of our players who had the ball saw him, and it's just not good enough. I don't know if it's the training, I don't know if it's the players, I don't know if it's a combination of both, but we're gonna have a long season unless we really just get back to basics again, and just, if you're going to play wide players, their feet should be touching the touchline. The old saying of chalk on their boots. Yeah, our players, our wide players, Aziz tonight, he spent half his time inside. Essay's, okay, he's been absolutely brilliant, but if he's told to stay out wide, he needs to stay out wide, and he comes in too many times. So when we're breaking up possession and we're getting hold of the ball sort of around the centre circle, you can see the midfielders that they are sort of looking up, and they're frustrated because there's nowhere to go. So they go backwards, and then the crowd get on the backs, and then it ends up going back to the keeper, and then for whatever reason, all the opposition have to do is fucking close any of our keepers down over the last few years, and our keepers will just boot it, and it boots it forward normally to a 5'4" striker, and we lose possession. So I don't know if much is going to happen before Friday. Tom Bradshaw looked like he'd done his hamstring, so that's 4-6 weeks out. So whether that will force the hand of getting another striker in, but it's looking a bit bleak, mate. So, on to Saturday. All the best, mate. Cheers. Bye.
Good morning, Nick. It's Barnsley here. Just thought I'd give you a little piece on the game last night, and there's absolutely nothing you can say about that game. Then it was just awful. Players just weren't up for it, were they? Brian was getting skinned all game. 2 centre-halves, great servants for the club, but really, they should be looking at that going, these guys should have been replaced. And, I'm not having a go at these players because they've done a great job for us, but they should have been shipped out a long time ago. And, this is the beginning of the season. I thought Harris would be the best person to come in, break the squad up. He's done it previously, and I think that's what his aim was, to get rid of the older players, the senior players, and bring in some young youth, young legs, as they say. But it was, I think that's why they made the change at the end of the season, bringing a new man to look at the recruitment, and I think that's what they were going to do. But I think Harris realised that we weren't going to get the players in, so he had to keep these players, and he's working with an ageing squad that should have been overhauled during the summer. I keep saying, love these players and have done a great job, but everyone has their own shelf life, and, they should have, we got rid of Mitchell. I'm sorry, we didn't see enough of him, but there's a player there that could have been, we didn't have to go out and buy a centre-half, but we do now, I think, maybe 2, because the 2 main, Tanganga and, Cooper get injured, we're screwed, absolutely screwed, because we've got no pace, and we've never had any pace. Football's about pace and power now, and we haven't got any of that, and that's what really concerns me. We got overturned by an absolute Division 1 team that really didn't create many chances, but we didn't look like we were going to score. Unfortunately, Langstaff he looks off it. Everyone's screaming for him to play, including myself, but he's just doesn't look good enough for it at the moment. Hopefully, it will come good, but we need to supply him, and he's feeding off scraps, and it's not good enough. New fella come in, some nice little touches, but he's not going to be the answer. He's still young, very young, and it's hard to see where we're going to go. It really is, because there's only 3 days left of this window. I want a new left back. I want a centre half to come in to give Tanganga and Cooper fighting for their place. They need someone in there to, oh my God, I'm going to lose my place every week. But they look back and think, really? There's no competition for places. There's not a good enough squad there. Full stop. I think Mitchell would have pushed them, but he's gone now, so we've got to get off that one. But, strikers, Radders now injured. Just just a great night all round, really, wasn't it? It was awful. And now, we're scratching around for strikers. Too late in the window. We should have had these players in a lot earlier. I know managers talking about, it's a funny window and all that rubbish. That's the recruitment's job, and they should have got these players in a lot earlier and realised where we are and where we are now, because this is going to be a long, hard season. And if we don't recruit quickly, we are in all sorts of trouble. And Neil, you are the man for this job. I don't care what other people say, because you know what this squad's about. You've worked with these guys before. And if you bring someone in else now and replace Neil with this squad, they will not get a tune out of these guys, full stop. This guy knows what he's doing because he knows this squad, and we have to keep him around if we want to stay in this division. Anyway, mate, I'm going to go. I've got work later. Absolutely cheesed off big time, but, we go again. And no doubt we'll beat Sheffield Wednesday 3-0 all weekend. That's what happens with this club. Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Hello, Nick. Danny from Calgary here. It's been a while, isn't it? I was trying to get a stream for the game, and I think I didn't. So I can't really mention pretty much on the game, apart from what I've seen online. I was actually really excited for that game. I was really excited. I thought it was a really good chance for the players I thought would make a big difference. Obviously didn't. But I want to focus more on transfers, to be honest. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. It seems like there's definitely a clash between Gannon and Harris, in my opinion. Does Harris have anything to do with the transfers that are coming in or out? Because he definitely doesn't seem happy with what he's got through this, especially with Angstaff. I mean, it seems like he's cutting him off already, or cutting him up, should I say? But my main worry really is our centre backs. If Tanganga, let's say he gets injured for the whole season, which praying he doesn't, we're going down. It's as simple as that. Cooper and Hutch isn't going to keep us up. Murray Wallace has been brilliant for us, but the fact he's still at that club, and we got rid of the likes of Alex Mitchell, it's just beyond a joke, really. So yeah, that's my main worry there is just that defence. If, let's say, if Tanganga gets injured, I'm really worried, actually. I know fans want a striker in, and I get it, but yeah, I'm worried about the replacements. But anyway, cheers, Nick. Onwards and upwards. Go on, your lines.
Walking out of the ground now, wishing I hadn't even bothered walking in. It was a bad one tonight. I think one of the only very few positives you can take about tonight was catching up with family and seeing Harry Warren's younger brother, Charlie. He was a nice lad, anyone who knows him. What can we say about tonight? Awful, absolutely dreadful. I mean, due to the ticketing outside, I didn't actually walk into about 5-10 minutes after kick-off. And literally walking up the stairs to the ground when I heard the roar from Leyton Orient fans when they went 1-0 up. So unfortunately I missed the goal. But from then on, we were woeful, absolutely woeful. We just looked like we were lacking ideas, lacking what we wanted to do with the ball. And, people question Gallen, and people question Neil Harris, and people question recruitment and whether the right players have been brought in, etc. But you can't question these people when all of your players can't even hit a 5-yard pass from one person to the other one, or when they try and switch the play across and they just keep booting it out for a throw. It's just awful tonight. My concern is that, some of these players who have been fringe players or new players brought in like Kelly, Langstaff, etc., they're given a run against a Leyton Orient side who even some of their fans don't even think are going to be a top 10 side and weren't particularly good. And they didn't do a lot. I mean, I've seen some stuff online about Langstaff already, people questioning him. I've seen things in messages back and forth, people questioning him as well. poor lad's barely played in the league, and when he's played in the League Cup, the service to him has been utterly woeful. Now, I said it earlier on that, and I've said before, but Millwall have these strikers who, you know, can't score at the den or can't do a lot, and they're instantly not very good forwards. But then they go somewhere else and they score for fun. But they're bad forwards because they didn't score for Millwall. For me, Langstaff's got to be given a bit more time than he's getting already. I can't believe the poor lad has only played one League Cup game, barely touched the ball in the second half, and people are now saying he's not good enough already. You've got to question your strikers when they have about 4 or 5 shots a game and either don't hit the target or they're missing easy chances to score. You can't question strikers when they're not getting the ball. For me as well, also, the only time we actually seem to be looking to get our heads up and playing passes forwards with any kind of basic way of keeping the ball in possession was when Leonard came on. Apart from that, everything else was just long balls up the pitch. Bradshaw coming on when in truth, he doesn't need to. We 1-0 down against the League One side, and, you know, if we go out now, it's not a total disaster. I know we don't like losing games, etc., but it's not the end of the world if we go out the League Cup. You bring Bradshaw on, and he's injured. Don't know how long he's going to be out for, so that adds to our problems. And, you know, we're not testing the goalkeeper until like the dying moments. And Leyton Orient players, their midfielders, are bringing the ball down in the centre midfield on their chest, and no one's near them. You've got their defenders bringing the ball down in their 6-yard box. No one's near them. So I think you can tell by this voice note, dear listener, I can't say it was a success coming tonight. At least I didn't have to bring a coat, and it's still quite warm. And it's summer holidays, so the boys don't have to wake up in the morning early. On to the weekend. I would say let's see if we can take some kind of momentum into it. We're not. But boy, oh boy, after tonight, there's a lot of first-team championship players we have at the club who need to have a long hard look at themselves. Come on, you Lions. Oh, last one from me. Sorry, Nick. For me, man of the match, do you know what? Murray Wallace. Because what he was asked to do, he did all right. Didn't pull up any trees, but ultimately did okay. Very bland performance from Murray, but bland was the best we saw tonight. I think it was either Murray Wallace or Marshall for trying to knock out that pitch invader. Come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, Matt Webb here. Hope I got this in time for the call-in show, or voice note show even. I thought I'd give myself 24 hours just to digest it all. After that 1-0 shambolic, embarrassing, inept performance against Leyton Orient, I would even go to say that was worse than the 4-0 at Reading last year. We didn't lay a glove on them last night, mate. That's the worst thing about them. We did not lay one glove on them. And you read the articles today where like fingers are being pointed at the players, fingers are being pointed at the manager, fingers are being pointed at the board. Really, truthfully, all those are correct. The club as a whole is in an absolute mess. No one has a clear idea of what they want for this club. You know, I'll go back to the match last night. We set up so wrong against a team that Richie Wellens, Leyton Orient, quite an attacking team, but you made them be the dominant force. And that's not on. Sorry, you've got to show a little bit of arrogance to say we're the championship club. We should be dominating this game. I know the Carabao Cup's probably not high on everyone's agenda, but, you know, a win's a win. And you never know. If Leyton Orient get a plum draw against somebody, then we'll all be moaning because it'll be like a nice trip. Or vice versa, they'll be coming down the den. So it infuriates me with that stance. And as I said, the setup was again wrong. All right, he's played Langstaff for 90 minutes because he deserves it, and rightly so. But you're not playing to the man's strengths. You know, for me, if a striker who's bagged in 100 goals comes to your club, automatically you've got to say to him, right, we've got you. I want you to continue your success at hitting the back of the net. How did you do it? What style of play would you like? I'm certain he hasn't turned up and says, oh, I'd like the big man, I like it to be lumped up to me so I can go and get my head on it against a 6'7" centre half. I don't think he said that.
It was that bad last night. He was coming deep into a central defensive role to pick up the ball. That's unacceptable for a striker. And then he was trying too hard. So, you know, whose fault is that? Well, that's got to be the management. That's management in tactics, team instructions with immediate effect. And then you look at the team selection. We have Dad's Army as our 2 centre-halves. And listen, folks, you know, if Wes Harding's off, that's your 2 centre-back pairing. If either Cooper gets injured or Tanganga gets injured or they both have a suspension, that's your centre-back pairing. Millwall fans, are you confident in the Championship to have them 2 as your centre-back pairing if the rumours of Harding is true? That's what you've got to put yourself into the equation. Joe Bryan had an absolute Danny last night, a Danny Bear mare. And, you know, I've always been banging on, but I think Danny Mack should be a left-back. There's no point digging out the 2 new boys because they ain't been with the club long enough. You know, they've been... But now they know what it's like to play at Den, and probably a little bit of a semi-hostile Den when the fans are on their backs a little bit. And then we've had to get the big guns on. It was just an absolute shit show last night, mate. But it does go to show that our squad is not big enough to compete. We've got 2 days left of this transfer window. I don't think we can do much more business. We still need to strengthen that back line. I don't care, like, you know, yes, we need a striker, but we also need a back line. Someone else to work with Tanganga. If Harding is definitely on his way. I mean, these are all obviously rumours. But then you need to reassure someone like Harding to say, you know what, if you are the next guy in, if anything happens. So, you know, there's a lot of work that needs to do. The chemistry between manager and board, or management and director of football, is definitely not there. And I can see something happening after the Sheffield game. You know, that makes Saturday such a crucial game. We need to get 3 points. Don't care what you say, we need to get 3 points against a very good Sheffield Wednesday team this season. It's going to be hard, but, you know, if nothing happens in the next couple of days, we're in big trouble. So let's just keep the faith, because I think it's a long, bumpy road ahead. Come on, you line.
Nick Hart, Bobby T here. Fuck me. Not even embarrassing. Block 28, half time. Orient 1-0 up. Avis made 5 changes. It's fucking backfired. It's fucking backfired. That's all I'm going to say, mate. Langstaff can't do it on his own. Aziz trying to beat every man. Amaku don't want to, I don't know, maybe he wants to go out on loan, because at the moment Nick Hart and all the Millwall podcast boys and everyone and all the Achtung Millwall, I'm not happy, mate. I mean, Harris is backfired, right? Yeah, we've got the slowest, shittest Murray Wallace and Hutchinson for the goal. I don't know, next Friday we've got to buy a striker. Lyndon Dykes was going to come, he's gone Birmingham. But half-time 1-0 Orient. Hopefully Millwall will change it around. That, I mean, Langstaff can't do it on his own. He's coming deep. Our best player in first half is fucking no one, mate. Harris, this is on you, mate. Half-time analysis. Bye for now. Bobby T. And Nick Hart, Bobby T here once again. And what annoys me, it's fucking League One. It's embarrassing, mate. It's embarrassing. League One. Fucking no passion, nothing. He's changed it. It's backfired. Bring Leonard on. Fucking hell, SA, whoever brings on, but fucking hell, I am fuming again. Lose this tonight and Saturday, Avis, I don't know, mate, it's your fault. Bye for now. Oh, I'm fucking waiting in Nick Hart, Achtung Millwall, Joe Bryan. Fucking shit. Too much coffee. All the flair. This is League One we're playing. Nick Hart, Bobby T here. Good news, SA, and the Casper the Ghost is on. Bye for now. Millwall hopefully win 3-1. If not, Harris, your job's on the line. Nick Hart at the Den. Achtung Millwall, 84 minutes. Ryan Leather's challenge was crunching. But we're still losing. Embarrassing League One. Harris, for me, we're shit. Nick Hart, Achtung Millwall. Bobby T, walking down Littleton Road. Fucking fuming, not happy. Harris's fault, player's fault. Langstaff at the end, didn't... on the line, missed it. I'm done. No, Harris, you've got one more game left to save your season. Bye for now. No, Nick Hart, Bobby T here. One more thing. Langstaff, for me, is not the answer. He's not cut out for this. He played a whole game tonight, done fuck all against League One. Bradshaw, done fucking nothing, injured. Azizi, trying to beat players. Kelly's too young for us. Millwall, strong midfield. And Hutchinson and Millwall is too slow, aging defending. If Tatanga and Cooper would have played today, wouldn't have lost this game. They wanted it more, East London. Bobby's done now. Bye for now, Bobby T. Achtung Millwall, good night. And Nick Hart, Bobby T, one more time. Hold on. If we lose the next 2 games, as in Sheffield Wednesday and after the break Luton, and even QPR, Harris, sorry, you need to walk. Bye for now, Bobby T. Nick Hart, Bobby T and fucking Beckenham going for a kebab to drown my fucking sorrows. And I just totally fucking forgot. Murray Wallace is fucking finished at Millwall Club. Yeah, slow, pathetic League One. I don't know why he came back into the team. And Hutchinson too slow, pathetic. I'm signing that tonight. Love you all, Achtung Millwall. See you Saturday. Must win for Neil Harris. Oh, no. Sorry, Nick Hart. Bradshaw's finished too. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
So a huge thank you to everyone who's contributed their voice notes to this show, dear listeners. If you want to add your voice to the Achtung voicemail crew, a posse, please do get in touch with me. Get in touch with me on X. You can message me, direct message me. You can actually send voice notes on X. There's a facility to send a voice message if you prefer that way. That's very good. I can get those and record those. Or else we can exchange mobile numbers and send it using WhatsApp. All of which are fine, and it's great to hear from everybody. Big thank you to everyone for contributing to the show in the wake of what has been a pretty tumultuous week, aren't they all, at the Den? Whatever your view on the current situation at the club, whether it's lack of clear direction from the top, from the boardroom, whether it's irrationality, illogical decision-making from the top, whether it's this clear tension between Neil Harris and Gallen, tension, I don't know. Whether it's players lacking Millwallness, I don't know. Or is it just mere old Father Time combined with all of the above? I don't know. As Bobby just said, to close us out there, Saturday's game is looking ever more of a big one. It's going to be a tone setter for the season. We've signed Ryan Windle, as I've said already on this show, today, Thursday, as I record. Talk of a striker from Serbia, of which a player of whom I know nothing. We'll see. There is a slight sense of panic stations at the club, and I personally believe that sense of rudderless lack of direction starts, sad to say, from the top downwards. All flows from the leadership of the club, in my opinion. There we are. I'm going to close out today's show now, dear listeners, with 2 messages I received after Hull City's 0-0 draw on Saturday. One's from Hassan Koulé and one's from Rob Abbott. They came in too late for the previous show. I just wanted to include them on this because I like to include everyone's messages. So I'll say a big thank you to Hassan and to Rob. As I've said, everybody else that's included their stuff on the show. Do keep in touch, listeners. Let me know your thoughts and views after Saturday's shootout at the Den versus Sheffield Wednesday. But until then, from me, Nick Hart, apologies for the slightly unusual format of today's show. But we'll be back, hopefully back to normal from the weekend onwards. So until Sheffield Saturday, Arrivederci Millwall from me, Nick Hart. Bye for now.
Hello, Nick. It's Hassan here, mate. Hope I'm not too late to leave a voicemail on this Sunday evening. But I thought, being I was at the game yesterday, all the way at the Hull, I thought I'd throw my pennies worth in. I've got to say, overall, not that bad of a performance, much improved. Having Tanganga back in the side is a massive plus. everyone just looked so more confident. He cleared everything away. He looked very assured. I was worried that he might not even be fit, considering he hasn't really played any first-team football. So he put that to bed because he was outstanding. He cleared everything away, and I'd probably give him man of the match, really, because, as I said, he was absolutely fantastic. But going forward, we looked all right at times going forward. Just that lack in that cutting edge at the end. Bradshaw got a lot of shit, especially from some of the people around me. I can't help but agree because, he does everything but be a striker and score goals and look dangerous. Is that down to him or is that down to the system we're playing? I like to think it's the system. It's probably half the reason why Langstaff can't get a look, because he came on and I'm not sure if it's the kit that makes him look fat, but he looked a bit overweight. I'm not sure if he's 100% fit or not, but there's something not right going on. We've got a striker who's been banging in goals in left, right and centre for the last couple of years, and he can't get a sniff. That strikes me as that's just not right. There's something not right there. I mean, play a bloody system which suits him. And, I don't want to get Harris's back. I'm a Harris fanboy at the end of the day. But, Harris made half the reason why Harris scored so many goals for us was because he had the big man next to him doing the donkey work. The likes of Paul Moody, the likes of Richard Sadler, even Danny Dicchio, Steve Morrison up to a point. So I don't get why he's not doing the same system. Also, Honeyman in the 10, again, he's industrious, he works hard, he puts his all for the team, but I think because he lacks that bit of quality, we are missing Fleming. I know Fleming doesn't get around the pitch as much, but he doesn't have to get around the pitch as much. His job is to provide for the striker. Honeyman gets around the pitch, yes, but when he gets into the final third, as a cutting edge side of it, he hasn't got it. Saville, I love Saville to bits, but I think his days are coming up as well. To me, he looks very slow. He looks quite lethargic. I know he had a blinder against Watford. That's probably because he was further up the pitch. The next game, I like to see Honeyman in the middle next to Dinor, or even Saville for that matter, if he's undroppable, Saville that is. I like to see Eze in the middle. He's now our main guy. His confidence is soaring, and I hope it's nothing to do with the fact that we've been playing 3 away games on the trot. He's not at the Den. Let's hope when he gets back from the Den, he can still do what he's been doing. I like to see Eze in the middle, very tricky, very hard to handle, and either Watmore or Imaka on one side and Femi Aziz on the other, who made his debut and put himself about. Didn't really get a lot of time to show what he could do, and stick Langstaff through the middle if that's the way it's going to go. Otherwise, find a system to put 2 up top. But otherwise, overall, happy with the point. I felt like if Bomber took more of a chance, we could have won it yesterday. They were right going forward, Hull, but they weren't great at the back. They were there for the taking. If Bomber really wanted 3 points, he would have made changes to do so to get the 3 points, not settle for a point. But I'm guessing he was thinking, get the first point on the ball, shut everyone up a little bit, get a clean sheet, and build on from there. So I suppose overall, it's a fair result. I hope all is well, and onwards and upwards. Come on, you Lions.
Hi Nick, Rob Abbott. Well, we're up and running with a point in the league. My opinion, not a bad performance. Just didn't capitalise on the chances that come our way, especially Saville. I think he's got the golden one there that we have to score. But look at clean sheet. Really delighted for Jensen. He made 2 excellent saves. Hopefully that'll bring him confidence and there'll be a lot more clean sheets along the way. Big difference Tanganga makes coming into the back line, which we all knew. I thought Joe Bryan had his best game probably for Millwall. I thought he was excellent. Hopefully we can see the form that made Joe Bryan a Premier League player. And then, up top, Esse was very good as well, defensively as well as offensively. So, look, can't complain. I would have taken that beforehand, but there's a little bit inside me going, if we're a little bit more braver, if we get Amaku on after 60, 70 minutes, if we give Langstaff a chance, because Brothers has run his socks off again, but got no joy. We might go and win that game, but look, Kelly's come in. Hopefully another one comes in to get in place of Nesbitt. And good riddance to him, hey? Even though on the first game when he came on for 10 minutes, I praised him a lot. But it's been a complete waste of space at the football club. So yeah, good riddance, and hopefully we do get someone in for him. But onwards and upwards, point gained. Have a good one. Chat soon.
So one final epilogue for today's show, dear listeners. The story doing the rounds online is that Millwall are apparently interested in Serbian 19-year-old striker Mihailo Ivanovic, reported by Dan Marsh 92 on Twitter, for a reported €3 million fee. Did you know that we got that kind of money, listeners? I'm amazed that we're throwing this kind of dough around, but this will be a club record deal if this comes off. But one of the essences of doing any kind of podcast, listeners, is that you are in the know, and the extensive Achtung Millwall spy network is actively scouring Serbia at the moment, and this is our intel. We've got contacts everywhere, Serbia included, and our contacts, who must remain anonymous, of course, but he knows a bloke whose sister is married to this lad's agent. He spoke. This is his feedback from the bloke who knows the sister of who is married to Mihailo Ivanovic's agent. And if that's not solid info, I don't know what is. But anyway, the rating is he's very, very good. He's apparently seen as the next big talent coming out of Serbia, and for that reason, the €3 million euros fee seems like good business if we can pull it off. So that's our solid info we work on this podcast, dear listeners. So thank you for listening. That story will unfold, no doubt, over Thursday and Friday to the close of the transfer window. So we'll see how that one works out. But that's from the horse's mouth of the person who's married to the woman who's married to the coach of the agent who knows Mihailo Ivanovic. Thank you for listening. Till the next edition. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.